What if I could make 5 days worth of lunches, dinners and snacks for only £30 using mainly tinned and store-cupboard ingredients? Let's put the idea to the test. I wanted to give this challenge a go so that I could see how we could eat off mainly non-perishable items and test it to the extreme. Now normally we do eat quite a varied mix of fresh fruit and vegetables, so this should be quite an interesting challenge, and I share how I got on with it later. So let's get started. First up, I'm going to get heating the oven up and preparing the 2 things that will cook in there, which are my 2 snacks for the week. I'm making some homemade spiced nuts and a Black Forest black bean brownie. This menu for the week is based on 2 adults eating the lunches and snacks, and then we will share the dinners with our 2 young children. I planned it this way as often after I've sorted the lunch boxes and the kids' snacks out for the day, we end up finding that our lunch and our snacks are a bit of an afterthought. This week I'm getting organised and making sure that we've got some things in whilst they're at school. We are actively trying to cut down ultra-processed foods in our diet, and something we absolutely love snacking on is these seasoned nuts. Honey salted cashews are our absolute favourite. And recently I've started making my own. It's really easy to do, and you can customise the spices and the flavour to exactly how you want them to taste. So I'm going to make up a batch now. So this time I have got some chopped rosemary from the garden, and I've added that to some salt, pepper, extra seasoning and some lightly melted butter. Then I've stirred in my nuts, laid them flat on a baking tray, and they will bake for about 10 to 15 minutes until they're golden. And then it's important that you leave them on the tray to cool before you store them. Next up, I'm making a Black Forest black bean brownie. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know I love sneaking beans into desserts. It's actually pretty bad. One of our children now says, "What have you put in this snack?" before she eats it. She is very dubious about the hidden ingredients. But the secret with this brownie to really hide those beans is you want to be quite generous with the cacao or cocoa powder, as it makes them taste really rich. I made a simple batter by blending all the ingredients together. Now, because I added peanut butter to this recipe and quite a bit of cacao powder, I loosened mine up a little with some milk because it was quite stiff on the first stir. And then I stirred in a generous handful of frozen Black Forest fruits. Now, I had 2 learnings here. You probably don't want to be as generous as I was, as the fruit does release quite a lot of liquid and it will make the brownie take longer to bake and have a more moist texture the more fruit you add. So maybe don't add as much as I did. And I actually think the frozen summer fruits probably would be even better in this brownie than the ones that I chose, because I hadn't quite appreciated that there were grapes in that bag, which was slightly different, but the kids loved it all the same. They will bake in the oven now for 25 to 30 minutes until they're fully cooked. And again, you have to leave these until they've properly cooled down before you try and slice them. Even though I was quite generous with the berries, I didn't use the whole bag. And to save wasting them, I am going to make a chia jam out of the leftover berries. And we will enjoy this on top of yogurt or porridge or even in jam sandwiches. And it's so easy to make. You just simply microwave up the berries, give them a mash, stir in 2 to 3 tablespoons of chia seeds, bit of maple syrup if you like, and leave in the fridge to chill. I'm now going to move on to the lunches and the dinners. And when I was making the menu for the week, I really wanted to make sure we had a good mix of meals that are plant-based, using lots of beans, pulses, but also some oily fish. The key for me with this challenge was that I could batch prep quite a bit of it in advance, so that I would only have light assembly when we come to enjoy the meals. This week I'm making 3 different soups, as they are budget friendly and easy to prepare ahead. Now, usually I would be using quite a lot of fresh vegetables in my cooking, especially in the soups, because I do think they add quite a nice taste. So this challenge is a little bit different for me, and I'll be sharing how we got on a bit later in the video. The first soup I'm making is tomato and butter bean. I'm trying to be quite time efficient today, but also I don't actually have a stick blender. So I'm going to be using my Thermomix to make the soups, but on the website, the instructions will be for creating this on the hob. While the soup simmers, I'm moving on to making a batch of coronation chickpeas, which taste amazing if they've had about 24 hours in the fridge to marinate before serving. We served this at one of our children's christenings for a vegetarian, and it really converted me. It's so delicious. All you have to do is mash a few of the chickpeas first, keep some whole, and then make a very simple sauce of curry powder, mayonnaise, mango chutney, and sultanas if you have them. Make sure to give it a taste and just adjust depending on flavours you prefer. This will then be served on sourdough with some salad if I've got some in. So I'm moving on to the next set of recipes now. And first up, I'm going to blend up some butter beans with a little bit of water to use as a thickener in one of my dinners. I had thought about using coconut milk, but actually I do quite like this trick because it really thickens the sauces. It makes them creamy whilst also boosting the nutrients at the same time. So now that's done, I'm going to get my sweet corn chowder simmering and move over to the hob. I chose a sweet corn chowder as this was one of my favourite lunches when I worked in London. If anyone's had burley soup, you will know what I mean. So on the hob, I'm first up going to make some Boston baked beans and a creamy chickpea and tomato curry. Our kids don't actually like tinned baked beans, which is very unfortunate, but I can kind of see why once you've had a go at making your own, as they're so tasty and you can really tweak the flavour of the beans and the seasoning to your preference. And I like how smoky these are. The beans are going to simmer down now and then will be stored, and we will use on top of baked potatoes, which we will make using the microwave and air fryer. Next up is the curry. The curry, again, is a very simple base. I have fried the chickpeas in some of the spices just to make that fragrant, and then I've added the rest of the ingredients and allowed that to simmer down and thicken before storing. And that will be served with rice and a little extra mango chutney. I'll now move on to the final soup and 2 more dinners. So I love using lentils in our cooking, and this soup actually has a secret trick in it. That means we get to enjoy 2 different types of lentil and a nutritious soup thickener as well. So I don't know if you know this already, but if you whiz up lentils in a high-speed food processor until they are a fine powder, you can use them as a thickener for sauces. I have done that for this soup, and I will leave it to simmer. And meanwhile, I'm making up a simple bean chili that will be used as a topper for nachos. As this is a tinned food challenge, there's not a lot of diversity of fresh vegetables that we would usually have in our meals. And in all of the recipes, you can by all means add fresh vegetables to boost the fibre and the plant points. But for the purposes of this challenge, I've kept it to tinned and store cupboard. I actually think in the nachos, raw peppers would be great for a bit of extra crunch. But in this case, I've topped that chili mix with some jalapenos for us, and I might put some avocados on the side for the children. Finally, I am boiling up some pasta al dente to portion up with a basic sardine and tomato pasta sauce. We are trying to eat more oily fish, and I love the combination of olives and sardines in this bake. I've done the pasta al dente so that I can make this ahead of time and know that it won't be a mushy consistency once we reheat it. I'll also top it with cheese to bake, and if I've got any leftover bread, I will whiz that up in my food processor and use as breadcrumbs for a little bit of extra texture. Lastly, I'm going to make a bit of an experimental dinner for us and then an all-time favourite of ours. So if I start with a favourite, we love Deliciously Ella. I have followed her recipes for years, and one of my favourites is her sun-dried tomato and butterbean hummus. It's so easy to make, and I quite like the change from chickpeas. We will enjoy this on top of some sourdough with some tinned mackerel. And actually it makes so much that I will keep the rest in the fridge and have that as a bonus snack with some carrot sticks or some breadsticks or something like that. And the final recipe is my experiment. So I do like to get creative and try new things. And I will hold my hands up and say that these wraps are not homemade. I have been trying to make them myself, but I just didn't have the time this week to do that. If you are interested in learning how to make your own wraps, check out one of my shorts, which shows you how easy it is to do that. But this time I've bought my wraps from the shops. And the key is to keep the base sauce quite thick so that the wrap layers don't become too wet. Now, because we were planning on sharing this with our kids, I did keep this sauce quite mild and tomatoey. Personally, I think if your children or if just you can handle a little bit more spice, I actually think a little drizzle of sweet chili sauce in between the layers would be so good with this. But for our tastes, we had to go a bit milder. Once you have layered up with a wrap, the sauce, put cheese as the top layer, and we've sprinkled some jalapenos on top to make it a little bit more spicy for us. This was actually really fun and really tasty, so we'll definitely be making this one again. I'm actually amazed I've been able to fill my fridge with 5 lunches, 5 dinners, and some snacks to keep us going with only store-cupboard and tinned ingredients. We usually really heavily rely on fresh fruit and vegetables, and this has been such an interesting experiment. We've also got our herbed nuts, and these are going to be really handy today as I've got after-school clubs and we'll be eating tea quite late tonight. And there you have it. For £30, we've got a week's worth of meals, and here is a summary of our menu and what we will be eating. So we start the week with sun-dried tomato and butterbean hummus with some mackerel on sourdough. And then for tea, we will be having the tortilla bake with some jalapenos for extra spice for the grown-ups. Our snack for 3 of the days is the chocolate hidden bean brownie, which is really delicious, and I'm storing that in the fridge. The following day, our coronation chickpea will be really, really tasty and marinated, so that will be on sourdough and maybe with a little bit of salad if I've got that in. We have clubs on that evening, so it's so handy to know that we've got this sardine pasta bake in the fridge ready to be heated up. And we will be enjoying some leftovers of the sun-dried tomato hummus as a snack on that day, along with our mixed nuts. Wednesday, we will be having soup for lunch with some sourdough, and then serving up the creamy chickpea and tomato curry with some rice for tea, as we also have cloves on this day and it is always a rush, so that will be super handy. On Thursday, we will have another soup, and then we'll be looking forward to our cheesy baked potatoes topped with those tasty, smoky Boston baked beans. And we finished the week with the final soup and some loaded mixed bean nachos with cheese for the kids and some extra jalapenos for the grown-ups. All of the recipes for these meals can be found on the website via the link below. And hopefully after watching this video, it will challenge you to think about how much you can create from simple ingredients. I was amazed by how much I made just from those tins. And in my case, I do think it's worth spending a little bit extra to enjoy some fresh vegetables alongside these non-perishable ingredients. But this has been a good exercise for me to think, how can I be a bit more creative with what's already in my store cupboard? If you like this video and haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you could do so, and check out my page for more recipes and inspiration.